think beginning the program during the pandemic was an ideal time for us because it enabled us to interact more with our residents who perhaps predominantly had not. One example of that would be on our dementia floor. You would have a couple of residents who were very hesitant, quite introvert, who really weren't keen to partake and get involved in activities. But throughout the program and throughout the last 12 months of having the Magic Table has encouraged them to participate a little bit more, initially on a one-to-one basis, and then now starting to do group things with playing with the balls and the painting and all of those other great things. So I think what it's enabled us to do is have more person-centered activity, which is really important, because it's great having activities, but if they don't reach, individuals, then you've not achieved what you've set out to do.
The best experiences I've had is where people who are bedbound, who struggle to leave their room or are unable to be immobile, it's really helped them to come out of their shell and us get to know them. For example, with the classical music, one of our residents can't speak, but with movement, he was able to move his hands and dance rave with me, and it brought us really quite a relationship, more of a personal rapport. We have many Irish and Welsh residents here, so the fact that the music kind of brings them to light, where it's bringing culture into our activity, which is so important. And we have many residents who fall asleep during activities, but because the Magic Table is very lifelike and very visual, auditory, and brings the senses to life, people are more entertained and more happy to feel, to come alive, to share stories. With the hot air balloon story, we always talk about people's travels. We always talk about people who have been on air balloons and what their experience was. And also it's very relaxing to push the hot air balloon away. But if they're in a more lively mood, I can put the popping balloon game on and we'll play that for hours, because it's just so beautifully visual and it really helps. Games are for everyone. There's not one particular level where, this person can't do that game because of this such a reason, but there's plenty more games they can do. We have a blind lady who sits and joins us in the conversation. She can't see what's going on, but I could move her hand and say, go to the right, and she'll do it, and she'll be like it brings it to life. You bring the games to life on the Magic Table. It's brilliant.
This was, I thought it was aimed simply at dementia, but we're using the spectrum of our residents are people with dementia, early stages and advanced, but also bedbound, room-bound individuals who have found it exceptionally interesting, especially some of the software packages of the piano, but also our brain injury and stroke residents. That's a category. So I think we've got to be flexible in the way we use it. And it's sort of, though we concentrated on our second floor, as Adam said, dementia, it actually sort of, we use it everywhere across the home. So what surprised me was that a lot of online activities for dementia residents don't actually seem real. Whereas I think with the Magic Table, you can touch, you can hear, and it does stimulate the senses, visual, auditory, and is very effective, and does stimulate them into singing as well. I think one of the big things is that they can actually sing.
And Lucy is another non-verbal person, and she loves Elvis Presley. I didn't know she loved Elvis Presley until I put the Elvis Presley music on. She loves Cliff Richard, and I was like, "Oh, Elvis Presley, let's try it." And she started dancing and smiling. And although she couldn't, it had it on the wall, and I would do the movement and the change of colour with some of the games. and she would get drawn to the colour and smile, and she was so, you can see that she was following along with her eyes about where the change of colour was. So we've got many residents who are not, like George said, who are not just for dementia, but
And I think that's important, picking up on that. You've got residents that perhaps would be lost within an activities programme
yeah,
because they wouldn't interact, because they are bedbound or whatever their individual conditions are. What this has enabled us to do is create a connection. We create a connection with people.
But I think the care staff have got involved and they're enjoying using it and seeing the effects. So, it's a two-way thing in that respect.
The staff have interacted more with the residents due to it.
Yeah.